Fortunately, I'm a reasonably competent vascular surgeon and a reasonably competent perfusionist. So I could operate the equipment and cannulate the patient, and we had a number of other people who were able to support us. That is the ATP. Now, to run that safely, you need an enormous amount of practical expertise and training. And my feeling is, and I stand by this solidly, if you have not pumped living animals and had been able to recover them, you have no business operating this equipment.
Perfusionists in this country today take a minimum 2 years to train, specialise, postgraduate, and if they haven't completed a minimum of 40 cases per year, they're not allowed to pump independently.
You bet. You bet.
Well, that's on a living patient, though.
That's not a living patient.
Well, yes.
But we're talking to someone who's going to live again.
I came here last year and I gave a presentation on why cryonics hasn't worked. And I think some of the people were here for that. Yeah, if you're happy to have 1/3 of your patients pumped full of air or chlorine bleach.
I think it's not so much a matter of being happy, it's a matter of...
I don't consider that acceptable.
It's a matter of making the best of the situation available.
How many people in here would pay, that kind of money to have that happen to you?
To be honest, it would be that or dying, and rolling the dice is better than nothing. But it would be
right. But would you be happy about it? How motivated would you be?
So we should be motivated.
Happy about it, but
motivated to improve it.
There is no choice really now, is it?
Exactly.
Well, that's a fatalistic attitude, meaning, okay, there's no choice. I mean, I'm signed up, and yet I know that the people who are going to pump me with that don't know what the hell they're doing.
That's why I wanted to ask, is there actually anybody in UK who performed vitrification in UK here?
Vitrification, no. Alan has plans towards this, but he's still backing it doing stuff with alcohol.
Does he have an experience in it?
Not in doing it with patients to my knowledge. You may be better placed to know.
So my suggestion was that you have to practice with, not humans, but with animals.
You need a living animal feedback model, and the reason for that is, look, all of you do some kind of work or have had some kind of experience doing work, and whatever you do, whether it's doing videography or taking a picture, what happens? You look at the picture and you go, that is not, I want to do that over. That's not right. Okay? And in your work, you get reviewed for your job. And if you don't do it right, you get fired. If you're in business for yourself, you either make a profit or you go out of business. So the key is you get feedback. Take a picture, it's not the picture you want, you have to take it over. Or you have to Photoshop it, you have to work on it. You get instant and constant feedback. In cryonics, you keep doing these things to people and you get no feedback whatsoever. And so all kinds of things begin to happen in terms of drift in quality. All of the artificial feedback that Jerry Leaf and I tried to put into place is gone from cryonics. In other words, we tried to put objective measures in there so that we had some way to evaluate what was being done to the patient and how well it was done. For instance, if all things being equal, how long did it take to start CPR, or CPS as we call it, after cardiac arrest? Were there any iatrogenic events, like air being pumped? Was there documentation every step of the way of what went on? We looked at tissue enzyme levels, or serum enzyme levels.
We still have that in place, incidentally.
We don't have any of that in place. Don't say that, that's not true. Who has it in place?
Basically, with our kits, we have a large set of paperwork that is filled out when this is all done.
Right, paperwork. And what do you know to look for, and what do you put down in that paperwork? Do you do any laboratory evaluations to find out what actually happened to the patient?
We leave that to our course to do.
Okay,
not now. They haven't done that in years. Anyway.
Well, that's good. Let's have a bit more of this discussion afterwards. One more question here?
It's not, well, it's more of a statement. I'm not sure if, I assume that I'm afraid more of the names. It's John. The gentleman here, basically, who was present in alcohol.
Mike Darwin.
The one problem I would say in the UK with animal testing is a separate one.
You cannot do it in the UK.
You
cannot do it in the UK.
I know. It's just, the irony is dead people, I don't think most people in the UK said, we're going to pump fluid around a dead person's body. Most people in the UK go, as long as they've agreed to it beforehand. You know,
Incidentally, it's
you
very
say
hard.
that living bunny, and
It's very hard to do that kind of work for training or teaching purposes or validation purposes in the United States. In fact, I think there are probably only a handful of dog labs left in the U.S., mostly pigs now.
How's it in Russia? I mean,
Wide open. Anything you want.
that's what I might do.
They had an Animal Rights Act, actually, that was very close to the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture's limits, and that lasted 2 years and was repealed.
Yeah. If you want to practice on a human, find someone who Putin doesn't like.
Right, well, first and foremost, to get medical professionals on board. This is a bit of a necessary evil in some sense because, like Mike said, you know, the paramedic who left, it's true that people who are not themselves invested into cryonics will care about it less. But also, they're extra hands on deck and, you know, they're familiar obviously with medical procedures. I personally also want to organise a lot more training. You know, the same meetings, but far more time given over to training, because I think that's a really important part of it. I think Tim does a great job with what he does, and I think that too much time is lost at those meetings in irrelevant discussions and general organisation, petty politics, etc. It also is an aim of mine to get CI more on board than they are already, because obviously Alcor is providing a lot more with regards to Cryonics UK than CI is. At present, for example, if you know, a CI patient requires the meds and they don't have the CI ones, you know, they'll have to sort of use the Alcor ones and then, oops, sorry, didn't know afterwards. So I need to, you know, get CI more involved on that front.
Is there a problem with not enough market demand? Because you can imagine what you might need is several companies going into competition and then having some kind of accreditation or quality of service based on the metrics.
We'd love to know about the market demand if we had the market research to find out.
And then I'm thinking from that feedback, I mean, the companies going into competition can help increase the quality of service.
Well, it certainly could do, but like I
because
say,
people are going to sign up
think
if someone can say, I can do 90%, I can pass 90% of these metric tests, and another company can only pass 50%. Then.
Yeah.
Can I just say on that point, you probably would need a fairly large capital investment, a fairly good business plan, a fairly good marketing plan, because a lot of the quality problems that you see here today would need to be resolved before you ever come to market. It couldn't be a case of incremental improvement. You'd have to iron all of this out, and you'd have to come straight away. So you'd be talking a fairly hefty bundle of sales.
I really do want to thank you because you've had quite an audience here of interested but quite critical, sceptical questions, and you've had a really good job.
What I was led to expect. So.
Yes, and the key thing is, yes, there are issues and problems, but you're determined to make things better, and you're open to offers of help from all the people in the room who think, well, actually, it's not quite ideal yet. Let's try and make it better. So thank you very much, David.
Thank you.